Leatherback Sea Turtle, the giant that shouldn't exist. These animals can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, basically the size of a grand piano. But here's what's wild. They dive deeper than 4,000 feet, descending into crushing darkness where pressure would collapse most marine mammals. Their leathery shell, which gives them their name, isn't actually hard like other turtles. It's a mosaic of tiny bone plates embedded in thick, rubbery skin. This flexible design lets them dive deep and move fast. Leatherbacks can swim at speeds up to 22 miles per hour, making them the fastest reptile in the ocean. They survive in waters so cold they'd kill tropical turtles. From the Arctic Circle to the southern tip of New Zealand, following massive jellyfish blooms across entire ocean basins. A single leatherback can eat 200 pounds of jellyfish per day. That's their entire diet. Gelatinous prey that offers almost no nutrition, yet somehow they fuel a body larger than a grizzly bear on what amounts to ocean jello. Their throat is lined with backward-pointing spines that look like something from a nightmare. These spines prevent jellyfish from escaping once swallowed, creating a one-way passage to the stomach. But their numbers are collapsing. Leatherback populations have declined over 90% in the Pacific in just 3 decades. They mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, eating debris that blocks their digestive systems and starves them to death. Fishing nets drown them. Beach development destroys their nesting sites. And rising sand temperatures from climate change are skewing hatchling sex ratios. Too hot, and every egg becomes female. No males, no future. What makes leatherbacks truly special isn't just their size or their prehistoric appearance. It's that they've existed virtually unchanged for over 100 million years. They survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They outlasted countless ice ages and ocean upheavals. And now, in less than a century of industrial human activity, we're watching them vanish. The leatherback is a reminder that size and evolutionary success mean nothing when the ocean fills with plastic faster than jellyfish. Green sea turtle, the vegetarian of the sea and honestly one of the most important herbivores in ocean ecosystems. Adults weigh between 300 and 400 pounds with shells spanning up to 5 feet. They're named for the greenish color of their fat, not their shell. And that fat gets its color from their diet. Seagrass and algae, plants they graze on like underwater cattle, keeping seagrass beds healthy and productive. Here's what's remarkable. Green turtles are the only adult sea turtles that are primarily herbivorous. Juveniles eat jellyfish, crabs, and sponges, but as they mature, they transition almost entirely to plant-based diets. This shift makes them ecosystem engineers. Their grazing prevents seagrass from overgrowing, which would choke out other marine life. They're basically lawnmowers maintaining underwater meadows that serve as nurseries for countless fish species. They migrate thousands of miles between feeding grounds and nesting beaches. Using Earth's magnetic field, like an internal GPS, females return to the exact beach where they hatched, sometimes traveling across entire oceans to lay their eggs in the same sand where they were born decades earlier. Scientists still don't fully understand how they navigate with such precision, but the ability is hardwired into their biology. Green turtles face relentless threats. They've been hunted for centuries for their meat, eggs, and shells. Their fat was rendered into soup, their shells carved into jewelry, their eggs harvested by the thousands. Legal protection exists now in most countries, but illegal poaching continues. Fibropapillomatosis, a tumor-causing disease linked to pollution and algae blooms, disfigures and kills thousands every year. Boat strikes, net entanglement, habitat destruction. But there's hope. Some populations are recovering under strict protection. Nesting numbers in Florida and Hawaii have increased. Conservation programs are working, slowly. Watching a green turtle glide through a seagrass bed, methodically grazing, you understand why they matter. They're not just surviving in the ocean, they're maintaining it. Loggerhead Sea Turtle, the powerhouse with a head like a battering ram and jaw strong enough to crush conch shells. Loggerheads weigh up to 400 pounds with massive skulls housing muscles capable of generating immense bite force. Their reddish-brown shells are thick and sturdy, built more for durability than speed. These turtles are carnivores, feasting on crabs, clams, sea urchins, and anything with a hard shell they can crack open. They have the widest distribution of any sea turtle, nesting on coastlines across the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Their range stretches from temperate waters to tropical zones, making them one of the most adaptable sea turtles alive. Females nest on beaches from Japan to Australia to the southeastern United States, where Florida hosts the largest loggerhead nesting aggregation in the Western Hemisphere. Loggerheads spend their early years drifting in ocean currents, hiding in floating seaweed mats where they hunt small prey and avoid predators. This phase can last a decade before they settle into coastal habitats as juveniles. Their migration routes span thousands of miles. Some loggerheads born in Japan travel all the way to Baja California before returning to nest decades later. The threats are suffocating. Shrimp trawlers drag nets that drown loggerheads by the thousands. Longline fishing hooks pierce their mouths and stomachs. Coastal development wipes out nesting beaches, replacing sand with seawalls and hotels. Artificial lights disorient hatchlings, pulling them toward roads instead of the ocean. And every year, climate change intensifies. Warmer sands skew sex ratios. Stronger storms destroy nests. What makes loggerheads special is their resilience. They're survivors, generalists, capable of adapting to a wide range of conditions. But adaptation has limits, and we're testing those limits faster than evolution can respond. The loggerhead proves that being tough, widespread, and adaptable doesn't guarantee survival when every beach becomes a construction site and every ocean current carries a fishing line. Hawksbill Sea Turtle, the jewel of the reef, and one of the most tragically beautiful animals ever pushed to the edge of extinction. Hawksbills weigh between 100 and 150 pounds with shells that display overlapping scuts in stunning amber, gold, and brown patterns. Those shells, called tortoiseshell, were carved into combs, glasses, jewelry, and decorative objects for centuries. Entire populations were slaughtered to feed the tortoiseshell trade. Millions of hawksbills died so humans could wear their remains. Their beaks are narrow and sharp, perfectly designed for reaching into crevices on coral reefs to extract sponges. That's their specialty. Hawksbills eat sponges that are toxic to most other animals, controlling sponge populations that would otherwise overgrow and smother coral. They're critical to reef health, maintaining the balance that allows coral ecosystems to thrive. They nest on remote tropical beaches, usually in small numbers scattered across isolated coastlines. Unlike other sea turtles that nest in massive aggregations, hawksbills are solitary nesters. This makes population monitoring incredibly difficult. We simply don't know how many are left. Estimates suggest fewer than 25,000 nesting females remain worldwide. That's catastrophically low. Coral reef destruction is killing them indirectly. As reefs die from bleaching, pollution, and warming waters, the sponges hawksbills depend on disappear. Illegal trade persists despite international bans. Eggs are still poached. Their shells still appear in black markets. And they're among the most vulnerable to climate change because they depend on two ecosystems simultaneously. Healthy reefs for feeding, undisturbed beaches for nesting. Both are vanishing. Watching a hawksbill navigate a coral reef, meticulously picking sponges from cracks, you're seeing an animal that's been doing this exact job for 100 million years. And in just a few human generations, we nearly erased them entirely for jewelry. The hawksbill is a reminder that beauty can be a death sentence. Olive Ridley Sea Turtle, the most abundant sea turtle on Earth, yet still vulnerable, still struggling. Olive Ridleys are small, weighing 75 to 100 pounds with olive gray shells that gave them their name. They're found in tropical waters of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, and they have one of the most spectacular reproductive behaviors in the animal kingdom. Arrabidus, mass nesting events where tens of thousands of females emerge simultaneously on the same beach over just a few nights. Why they synchronize like this remains partially mysterious. Scientists believe it's a survival strategy. Predators can only eat so many eggs and hatchlings. By overwhelming beaches with sheer numbers, enough offspring survive to sustain the population. These arrabadas occur on specific beaches in Costa Rica, Mexico, and India, drawing researchers and tourists who witness what looks like an ancient ritual. But olive ridleys face modern horrors. Fishing bycatch kills more olive ridleys than any other sea turtle. Shrimp trawls, gill nets, and longlines drown them by the thousands. Egg poaching at Arabata sites can wipe out entire reproductive events, and their abundance is deceptive. Losing 10,000 turtles sounds catastrophic for a rare species. For all of Ridley's, it can happen in a single bad fishing season across one region. Climate change threatens Arabata beaches. Rising seas erode nesting sites. Warmer temperatures alter hatchling sex ratios. Pollution contaminates the shallow coastal waters where they feed. The olive Ridley is proof that being the most abundant doesn't mean being safe. It just means you have further to fall. Kemp's Ridley Sea Turtle, the rarest sea turtle in the world and a conservation story that swings between miraculous recovery and heartbreaking fragility. Kemp's Ridleys are the smallest sea turtles, weighing just 75 to 100 pounds. They nest almost exclusively on a single stretch of beach in Mexico. One beach, one species, one chance. By 1985, only 700 nesting females remained. The entire species nearly blinked out of existence. Decades of intensive conservation, nest protection, and fishing gear modifications brought them back. Today, there are roughly 10,000 to 15,000 nesting females. It's an incredible achievement. But the Kemp's Ridley is still critically endangered. One oil spill, one hurricane, one bad fishing season, and decades of progress could vanish. This is the most endangered sea turtle, teetering on a knife's edge between survival and extinction. And their entire future depends on decisions we make about a single beach, a handful of fishing regulations, and whether we care enough to keep trying. The Kemp's Ridley represents what's possible when humans decide to undo the damage they've caused, but also the fragility that remains even after populations recover. If you want to see more species explained, click the video on screen now and subscribe.